Mother never comes home again. 23 years later, her family finds out why. He deserved this vacation like no one else. The last 23 years had been hard after his wife suddenly disappeared. All 5 of his children were studying in universities, and now it was time to take a break. The husband went to the exact same place where his wife had gone missing, unaware that he would meet her again, but in a condition that he would have never expected. Henry and Lucy were living happily with their 5 children, who were still young. It wasn't easy to take care of them, but with each other's support, the parents took care of their kids. However, Henry's life turned upside down when his wife, out of nowhere, went missing and never came back. For 23 years, he alone took care of his kids. Then one day, the man learned a spine-chilling truth. Finally, the last child had left home to create his own life, and now Henry had time for himself. He definitely deserved a break, as it was not easy to take care of 5 children. 23 years ago, his wife suddenly disappeared from home, and as a consequence, he had to take care of his family alone. It was hard, especially for the husband, to live without Lucy. The pain was still there, and he had many questions. After saying goodbye to his 19-year-old son, Henry decided to go on a vacation and began packing. Besides the night table, he looked at the photo of him and his wife and whispered, "We did it." The husband sighed as he still missed Lucy, and every day would ask the same question, "Will I be able to see my great love again?" After Lucy's disappearance, Henry could not fall in love again, and therefore never got married again. For him, she was the only one, and single-handedly took care of his 5 kids, which was tiring and time-consuming. The 59-year-old man remembers the day when he lost his soulmate as if it all happened yesterday. One day, he had come home from work, and Lucy wasn't there. Normally, she greeted him every day with a cold glass of beer, and they talked about their entire day. But on that fateful day, there was nobody to greet him or talk to him. The horn of the taxi pulled Henry out of his dreams. He was traveling to a lake in Italy, which was his favorite place. He had been there with Lucy a week before she disappeared. The lake had something magical and relaxing about it, and that's exactly what he needed. On the plane, the husband continued his dream and thought about the moment the police arrived at the door. After 3 days, they still knew nothing about her. Then the police told him for the first time that his wife might not be coming back. Henry went to the lake house and went to sleep, as he was too tired to go anywhere else. The next day, the man visited a great city near the lake, only to discover a dark secret about his wife. The city brought back many fond memories that he had created with Lucy, holding each other hand and making plans to spend the rest of their lives with each other. Suddenly, Henry had the fright of his life. He smelled something that he hadn't smelled in years. When he looked towards the wall, the man saw several windows and realized that the smell was coming from the middle window. It was the smell of Lucy's apple pie, and the reason he remembers it was that the recipe for the pie was a family secret. Her grandmother taught her how to make it, and the ingredients used had a unique aroma. There were special herbs that were only sold in the markets of Mexico, and the grass used grew on the plains that her family owned. These herbs created a very sweet herbal essence and were incredibly recognizable. Henry knocked at the door from where the smell was coming, and a young woman opened the door. "Can I help you?" the girl asked. The man first apologized and said that he had passed the window and immediately recognized the smell of the pie. He then further inquired from where she had learned the recipe, and the girl replied from the woman in the lake. Henry couldn't believe his ears and immediately asked her to take him to that woman. The girl hesitated. Henry clearly noticed that she was not comfortable giving him that information, so he decided to tell her a story. She was surprised when he mentioned the name of Lucy, and after listening to the whole incident, the girl couldn't refuse the man's request. She took him to a beautiful place near the lake and pointed to a cabin. Henry thanked the girl and walked toward the cabin. With each step he took, the tension increased. He couldn't even imagine that he could see Lucy again. The husband looked through the window and caught sight of her. They both were looking at each other. For 23 years, he had been waiting for this moment with all his heart. Henry broke down in tears and went straight into her arms. They hugged each other for almost 5 minutes. Lucy then asked him to sit on the couch, after which she explained everything, and all of his questions were answered. The woman wiped away her tears and explained, "When we were on vacation at the lake, I met a man. It was the night you were homesick. I spent the night with that man, and when I got home, I started to feel very bad. I had become pregnant, and the last thing we wanted for our family was to have a child out of wedlock. So I came back to the lake to leave the child, but couldn't ever come back. Now my son lives with his father in Milan, and I have no one. Please forgive me." On one hand, Henry was furious, but on the other hand, he was happy to see his beloved alive. "Come home, honey," he asked desperately. "Then we'll see how we get closer again." Lucy couldn't believe that Henry had reacted that way. After a few days, she returned home. For the children, it was very strange to see their mother again. Most of them did not remember her as they were babies. The oldest kid remembered her, but it took a lot of patience and love for him to forgive his mother. Meanwhile, Henry and Lucy keep trying to rebuild their lives.